So we're here in the offices of the Irish South and West Fish Producers Organisation in Castlecombere, and I'm going to ask one of our members, Alan Carlton, a few questions. Okay. So Alan, you have a boat called the Syracuse.
Yep. Can
you give us some history on your history of being in the industry and about the boat?
Well, I'm fourth generation fisherman. I am fishing full time, 32 years. Fished in summers before that, and a couple of summers I worked in the fish factory because at the time there wasn't a room on the boat to go out. So back then there was plenty of people to go fishing. There was lists on the boats to go out in some of the boats. So you had to wait your turn. My father is still involved in the business with me. He's in his late 70s at the moment.
So Alan, you mentioned in what you said there, I didn't realise that your father had his own fishing boat, and there were so many people fishing in the industry that you couldn't even get onto your own dad's boat. How many years was your dad fishing, and how many boats has he had in his lifetime?
Well, my father started fishing at 13 years of age, full time. He got his first boat in 1973. It was called the Alan, named after myself and my first sister, my older sister. And that was a brand new boat built in Baltimore Boatyard at the time. And at the time, no, she would have been expensive at the time, obviously being new. And he had her until 1996, and in the meantime he got another boat in 1992 with me and him. It was called the Quotas. She was a second-hand vessel that we got from Iceland. She was 33 metres long. And
would she have been a modern vessel then in the port?
In them terms, she would have been a modern vessel. She was the only boat in the port that time that had a fish hopper, which was unknown back then.
And was she steel?
She was a steel vessel.
She was a steel vessel. So, but people were investing into the industry then at that stage. So that was her second boat,
yeah.
And there was maximum desire around the locality to get into the boats.
Yeah.
So there was optimism in the fishery at that time. And look, I'm assuming that it was easy enough to get the finance from the financial institutions.
But it was at the times, yeah. Even though the interest rates back then, I think when we got the Copanis, the first year I think it was 14 or 15%, and it went up to 17. If that happened nowadays, you wouldn't pay for any boat.
So we jump forward now to the present time. You're fishing the boat, the Syracuse. Mm-hmm. And how do you find things have changed now since you started fishing to right present day?
Well, there's a lot more stress to the job. We're restricted with quotas. Fuel is expensive. Maintenance is expensive. The insurance it's going up the whole time for everyone. I think this year went up 14%. 14% is a big jump in anything. It's another one of these things, like, you know, when you buy a boat, you don't factor these things in for the running costs, that they'll go up that much in a short length of time.
So you've established now that the fuel and everything else has gone up dramatically from when you started fishing and everything else. What about the prices of fish?
When we changed from the pounds to the euros that time, the price of fish did not go up accordingly.
So are you saying that the prices have actually dropped from when you were paying the 16% interest rather than?
Well, they come up a small bit, but in the years in 2000 and 2001, when it changed from pounds to euros, we didn't get the same increase. We worked it out as 1.27.
Can I ask you, so we'll use fuel for an example, right? So how many times, or is it a percentage fuel has gone up, or is it multiples?
Oh, it is multiples.
Multiples,
yeah.
So say a litre of fuel was maybe 10 or 12 cent, would that be correct when you started fishing? Or less?
About that, I'd say.
About that. What's it now?
It is, I think I talked to one of my friends yesterday, 72 or 74.
That's 700%. And you're saying the fish stayed around the same price?
Fish hasn't gone up very little.
So how
Well,
did
not
you,
all fish now, but
yeah. How did you feel then when Brexit, when we were fighting to keep the fish that we had, and that you heard that we had lost up to 20 to 25% of the fish you're depending on? How?
well, it was, I felt bad for myself and my fellow fishermen because, it's an industry. An industry don't survive on one person alone. Because you have services ashore, you need people to be there to keep the services busy as well.
So you're saying that it not only knocked the confidence out of it for the fishermen, but you're saying even the people ashore that were investing to be the service industry, you saw them maybe cutting back as well, is it?
Well, I suppose they had to raise their prices with inflation and things, so the maintenance for the boats is getting more expensive year on year as well. And you've the added pressure then of the extra paperwork that we didn't have before, and
Regulations, is it?
and regulations, yeah. Like, I don't know how many times we're after changing the size of the square mesh panel now in the last few years. Like,
They're technical measures now. You might
Technical
explain a little bit
they're
more
technical
about
measures
changing.
to-
Why would you change the mesh sizes?
well, to leave the smaller fish out. I don't think it's practical myself because you're actually leaving marketable fish out. And you'd see quite big fish stuck in the square mesh at times. Which is fish, that's mature fish, like it's not undersized fish.
So all the accusations of overfishing and everything else, have you seen the stocks increase in numbers? Are there more fish outside there? Is it a hindrance to you? Do you have to move from ground to ground to avoid certain areas because there's too much fish there?
Well, in general, if we're getting small fish in the area, we all move away from there because we don't want to be killing small fish. Number one, they're worthless, and number two, small fish grow to be big fish.
Okay. And do you find it more difficult working under those regimes? Like we see that other fleets manage to stay inside in certain areas longer than you stay there. Is it that you can't catch the fish, or is it that you don't have the entitlements to stay there to catch the same amount of fish?
Well, we don't have the quota to catch the same amount of fish for a lot of species. Like, times of the year now we target prawns because we don't have enough quota for whitefish, and especially monk, which is a high valued fish. So we tend to go for a mixture. At least that way, it's easier to work fish away the month if you have enough quota for that area. And sometimes then we go to other areas where we could be up off Barrahead and the Outer Hebrides there times of the year, not the last couple of years now, come to COVID, but before that we used to be up there fishing, and just to keep ourselves legal and one less headache coming in.
Yeah. So, the other countries, you're well aware, you're a fisherman all your life, of the different share out in our waters, and we made a big play of the fact that there's 15% of the fish is what we're left with now after Brexit, whereas the other countries have 85%. How does that make you feel?
Well, from talking to my father and some of his friends, they said when we joined it was the EEC at the time, that if we'd no one there, we might have got we might have got a better deal for fishermen, because the rest of the countries might have felt sorry for us rather than selling the whole lot out for just to get membership. So
you reckon that fishing was used in 1973 as a bargaining chip for other industries?
Definitely, because the other countries knew the value of fish off our coasts. They've been fishing there. We didn't know they were fishing there. As close, like the Spaniards have been fishing off here for years and years and years. They used to land in Ban 3 years ago, and they had to stop landing there because their boats got that bit bigger. It wasn't deep enough for them to go into Ban 3. Just Castledown, they ended up coming then.
To come into the deeper harbour?
Yeah.
And have they, their boats gotten bigger and better, and is there more of them?
The last 20 years now, their fleet is modernised, unbelievable. They've gone from trawlers, which you have to stop the engine to put them going astern, to some of the best whitefish trawlers in Europe.
But they would have a larger fuel consumption then, so that would mean that they would have larger quotas and more fish to catch. to compete with the local boats here that wouldn't have far to get to the grounds.
Well, as far as I know, there's two French flag boats that come in here, and I think one of them is 450 tonne a month for the year.
So how much monk then would you have in a month, say?
I suppose over the year to average out maybe 3 tonne.
3 tonne a month?
Some weeks, some months it's up to 6, and more months it could be down to 2 or 1.5, depending on the uptake.
So that would be per month, say, in average. We'd be generous around, say, 5 tonne per month. That'd be 60.
Yeah.
And how much did you say the French boats,
Well, this individual French boat had 450 tonne a month.
450, yeah.
They can actually go out and target monk.
Yes.
And obviously monk is a high value fish, very popular, easy to cook and everything like that.
So if I asked you in one word, what would this government need to get or secure for the fishermen to save their industry, what would that one word be?
More quota.
More quota. Thanks, Alan.